So every single Valentine's Day for the last 28 years, I've never had a Valentine. I've never been in a relationship, been dating anybody. And I was just thinking about that. So I was talking to my girlfriend and I was like, what's wrong with me? Why is everybody in a relationship but me? Why is it so hard for me? And her answer, you stay single because you don't put out.
No, she's still single because she tells men that she doesn't put out, okay? Hello, welcome to the Dollhouse. I am the doll, and I'm starting a video series today. It's for all of the dolls, but today, the virgins especially. Dolls, you don't need to talk about your old relationships with prospective new partners, your old romantic relationships, your old dating history. It's true that, there's men that will ask you, what's your body count? The Punani police. They're trying to clock everyone's coochie miles, but it's not their business. And if a man asks you that, it's because he's immature or insecure. You should really kind of run for the hills, because you don't have to tell anything about your body, what you do with your body, especially someone that you're just starting to date. You don't need to talk to them about that. And, it's good to be a virgin. Yes, congratulations to you for holding out. But most people in American society do not value it today. It becomes scary to men because most of them are just out for something else, And if they ask you, they're mostly out for something else. He's not really in it to fall in love and get married with you. It goes without saying that most men don't really want to know your body count, even if you are a virgin. Because even if you've only slept with one person before that man, he will still find a way to compare himself to that one dude. They don't even want to know who you slept with. And it's common for them to ask about old relationships, but even after that, the relationship isn't better for them knowing who you've dated in the past. You really don't need to give a Carfax report to these guys. And a lot of these men don't even value virginity the way they lie and say that they do. And in this series, I'll show evidence of that, but they don't really value it the way that a lot of women are putting it out there. They value their freedom more. They claim to want a virgin wife, but most men aren't even looking for a wife at all. Yeah, they might want a woman. They want the physical closeness, companionship, the comfort, the approval, the status, the ego boost that a woman gives, but that doesn't mean that they want to be a husband. Listen to this guy.
In the past, and I've learned this from experience, you do not want to get with a virgin. Oh my God, did he just say that? I say that because especially if you're spinning plates, if you're a guy who's like, that's the only thing for me, I can only get with a virgin because I'm serious right out the gate, convictions, religion, whatever, great. Good for you. You found one. You found your unicorn. Odds are you're not going to. But if you're the guy who's the player, and now I'm gonna agree with you here. If you're the guy who's the player, if you're the guy who's like the plate spinner, and she's this girl's she's hot and you want to get after it with her, and you're her first, I would suggest you don't, because what happens is when a woman is women will always remember her first, right? That's the maxim. You always remember you first. Well, the problem that goes along with that, especially women who have been saving themselves, as you said here, have been saving themselves, they're doing so because they have some sort of conviction, or because they haven't met the right guy, or because they want the guy who they want to meet the guy who they are willing to break that rule for. And if you're that guy and you're not ready to lock that down, be ready for her to get very, very attached, very possessive, very attached. And I would suggest not doing it. If you're a guy who's into casual sex, if you're a guy who is into short-term sexual encounters, whatever it is, you spin plates, yada, 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 do yourself a favor and don't. And this is not a moralistic thing. This is a logistical thing. Don't get with a virgin, because doing so, she will be locked into your narrative. You will be the alpha that she is widowed from. especially if you are the guy that she's willing to break those rules for. I'm not saying this is like some ethical game. I'm just saying, logistically speaking, you probably don't want those entanglements, right? You probably don't want that eventually because you want to get on, move on, and get it with another girl later on. If that's you, then you probably don't want to. That's what I'm going to say about that.
Spinning the plates. The Rational Male Clips channel is legendary in the red pill space, but avoiding virgins is not just a red pill thought. He said this because many men think this way. Many men who've never even watched YouTube or been on social media feel the same way as he feels. They don't want to give virgins a chance because they are spinning plates, also known as roster dating, also known as juggling women. They are enjoying their freedom, as they should, and as you should too, until you are committed. You know, until engagement talks start, in my view, what's the point? Why are you locking yourself down for someone who just wants to try you on like an old shoe? And kudos to the women who have held out and maintained virginity. And yet a lot of guys will want to try you on. And that's kind of what gets them into wanting to date you. The prospect of potentially sleeping with you. And if they know that that's not going to happen, there's been other guys who've probably been taller, richer, better, other guys who have failed, they're not even going to try. So you can just keep that part of your dating history, mating history to yourself until they've earned the privilege of your privacy, until they've earned the privilege of access into your private world. You know, and that's after a significant investment. Most men are out here enjoying the variety of women. Like he said, spinning plates. They're not looking to settle down. So when you pop up and say that you're a virgin, you immediately look like wife material. And in this day and age, being wife material is like being a can of man repellent. In many cases, because you represent a loss to his freedom, a loss to him spinning the plate, a loss to that variety. So telling a man that you're a virgin before he's decided to ask you for a commitment is a mistake in my view. It is going to reduce your chances that he will be willing to get to know you. And the fact that men are not out here looking for wives, it doesn't make them bad. It's just they are a product of the society that we live in. If they can get all of the perks of being a husband without having to sign on the dotted line, why wouldn't they? You know, if I could pull up at a bank every week and take a withdrawal without being a member there, why wouldn't I? Free money. I mean, they're extracting value. So why won't they take the value that women are laying out? So, you know, they're getting all this value for free. Not the whole thing, but they're getting a lot from other women for free. So the prospect that they would suddenly have to pay you with no longer being able to have that variety, no longer be able to have that freedom, that lack themselves down, they're gonna run from that. And because they haven't fallen in love with you, you know, it's going to take more than 3 or 4 dates, really, for you to know for sure that this man has exhibited the patterns that make him worthy of your private world. You have to make sure that he's investing over time and showing you consistent effort before you let him into your private world, and make sure until he's fallen in love with you. That's what I would say. You know, I understand that things are different in some cultures. In America, though, the dating landscape is like a war zone, doll. You need to put on the full armor of the Lord to deal with this war zone, I promise. And sometimes means that you need to move in silence and keep your strategies to yourself. You know, when you're out here trying to win the battle, win the war for what you want, which is either peace of mind and singleness, commitment at whatever level you decide. You have to decide what you want. But if you're wanting it from a man, you got to give him something to go on, some kind of hope. You got to keep hope alive that maybe you guys can experience the joys and pleasures of an intimate experience. Now, you don't have to say that it's going to be after you get married, but you could also be thinking that. That's none of his business. This is war, girl. This is war. Okay? You got to give him a bit of hope that he might reach the finish line where many others have failed, many other probably better men, because a lot of times men, they feel insecure. They don't feel that they're just the best, even if they are very capable and all of that. They're not as hardened as we are inside most of the time. Women, when we're in our right minds, we have like Teflon inside. Soft on the outside, but just like steel on the inside. Steel magnolias, honey. So once he's earned your private access to your private world and thoughts, not access to your private parts, but once he's earned your trust and you have a mental, spiritual, and emotional connection, he's in love with you, he starts talking about commitment and his patterns reveal that you have the same vision, then you can give him the gift of revealing your virginity. You're not giving him your virginity, you're just revealing it to him. And you shouldn't reveal it until after you can feel like you can trust him. And once you do that, listen, he's going to be elated. You'll be giving him more motivation to have you and for him to give you more. He will feel that he's the one that will finally get to unlock the key. And all he has to do is keep doing the right things that he's doing now and be committed and be that man in your life. And, he'll feel that he's very special to you and that he's going to be even more special by having kind of reached that finish line with you. So he's got to feel the potential for it coming down the line at all times, not just, at the end, but at the beginning too. You kind of got to trick him into thinking that, well, maybe, you never know. We'll see what happens. We'll get into more of what to say in those moments when he starts trying to lure you to his house to Netflix and chill. A lot of virgins show frustration for the reality that they're less romantically discriminating friends. The friends who are just, not virgins and who may even be somewhat promiscuous. These acquaintances and peers and friends and family, they're getting wiped up. While the virgins are wondering, looking around like, what is going wrong? Take a look at this one.
Of course, Instagram models, OnlyFans women, baddie culture. I understand there's a real temptation to want to be like that, to want to be like them, to be like, what is the point? I'm getting older and older and older. Why do I keep waiting? What is the benefit in that? I'm wasting my life. They're all in happy relationships, or they seem to get men and have men in their lives way more than me. A lot of these men are just not very intelligent. They bash women for having multiple partners while at the same time demanding and expecting and pressuring women to give it up on the second date or to just come over. Make it make sense.
It's a new day and age. That's what I wish I could say to the woman in that clip. Women like her, she's trying to play fair in an unfair world. She's trying to play by the rules that really do not exist. They were made by men to break. Those rules and laws were made by men to break. And she's trying to live by the rules. And she's a virgin. She's very pretty. Her personality doesn't seem to be bad. She doesn't look like her breath stinks or that she has bad hygiene. Yet here she is, never having had a Valentine's Day date or a boyfriend. And she's almost 30. Meanwhile, since Kim Kardashian came out with her sex tape, she's been married twice. Yes, Kim K is also beautiful and rich, but there are also many regular women out here like her who are not virgins, who are not even discriminating, who are not even you know, prudes or chaste or anything like that. They're out here doing whatever they want to do, getting married, wifed up. They're having Valentine's Day, 2 and 3 Valentines, getting bills paid. Like, and meanwhile, the virgins are at home on a Saturday night. You know, it just, it's an example of the paradox that we live in right now. You know, there are many regular women out here who are getting snatched off of stripper poles and walked down the aisle. Ask Nene Leakes. For those of you who don't know who Nene is, she was once a popular reality star from a show called Real Housewives of Atlanta. And her husband, Greg, married her shortly after meeting her at the strip club. One of her castmates, Kim Zolciak, was an out and proud, chain-smoking sugar baby who, after she dumped Big Papa, her sugar daddy, had a lesbian love affair before settling down with her younger NFL husband and having 4 more kids with him. She had already had 2 kids, so she had 4 more kids with him. You know, and by the time that he legally adopted them and gave him his famous last name, you know, they had been through a lot of things. Kim Zolciak is out here in the game creating lineages with her used coochie. Meanwhile, virgins like the one in the video are still on the bench because they don't understand how to play the game and they don't believe that their opponent is playing dirty. You know, always say less than necessary. That's the point of a few of my videos lately. And I do like the 48 Laws of Power. It's relatable, but this is like a old school regular law. Just stop talking. I like to talk a lot to y'all because this is one of my hobbies, okay? But always say less than necessary. You know, and I'm not telling anybody to lie, but just make sure that you keep your cards close to your chest. Like, what you do with your body is nobody's business. Not a one person, especially if they're not paying any of your bills or any of your committed, they're not doing anything, you know? So I'm not saying a lie, but just give them some hope. Leave them the potential for hope. Don't tell somebody that you're a virgin before he's invested and has fallen in love. Don't tell anybody that you're about your personal life or your private life, even if you aren't a virgin. Just keep it to yourself. But you can reward them with the knowledge of your virginity after investment, because that's really actually something worth telling. But if you've had 10 boyfriends in your past, you just keep that under wraps, girl. Go on and take it to the grave, because it's nobody's business. You don't have to count up your love affairs for anybody. You can forget about those old love affairs. That's what you can do for yourself. So later in the series, we're going to talk about what to say instead of saying, "Oh, I'm a virgin," or I've had some boyfriends, over these last couple of years. We're going to talk about what to say instead. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel for the future videos and like this video because it's a free way to support this channel. Talk to you soon.